Code Explained says hi. Today we're going to build a meditation app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is the repo on GitHub. You will find the link in the description. So I'm gonna go and download the repo as a zip to my desktop. So I'm gonna go to the desktop and then I'm gonna go and extract the files here and open the folder. Now we have here two folders, one that says final project, and this is where you will find the final project. This is what we're going to build at the end of this tutorial. So I'm gonna go and show you what we're going to build. So here, this is how our app will look like. I'm gonna go and open this like in full screen. So this is how our app will look like. You can see that at the background we have a video that's auto playing, and we have here these buttons. So by clicking on one of these buttons we can change the video at the background. So these are like the seasons. This is the winter, like spring, then summer, and then the autumn. So also here we have these buttons here, which is for to change the duration of the audio we're gonna play using this button. So for example, I can choose 20 minutes and by default it's 2 minutes. So if I click on this now, it's 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So now the audio will be playing for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go for 10 seconds, and 10 seconds here is just like for testing our app. Alright, now I'm gonna go and click on play and let's see what's gonna happen. Now you've seen that when I clicked on the play button, the audio started playing, and also you've seen that this progress bar is moving, and also this was counting down from 10 seconds. And when I clicked on this button here, this paused the audio and actually paused everything. And also you've seen that when I don't move the mouse for like a certain time, the buttons and the cursor disappear, and we just have like the music playing and the video also playing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and open the inspector and go and see how our app will look like on mobile phones. So if I like minimize this, this is how our app looks like on a mobile phone. So you can see we have our like play and pause button, the progress bar here, and the buttons here to change the duration of the audio. And also for the seasons we have now this button here. When I click on it, the menu opens up and I can go and change the season or the background video, and to close it I just need to click on the button again. So this is how our app will look like. Now let's go and go to the other folder. So we have two folders there. So the final project, which has our final project, and then the part 1 files. I'm gonna go and copy this to my desktop, and I'm gonna get rid of all of these, and I'm gonna close this, and I'm gonna rename this to meditation app. I'm gonna go to my text editor and open that folder. So open folder, desktop, and then meditation app. Alright, now I'm gonna go to the index.html, and then I'm gonna click on go live to open this in the browser. So now you can see here that we have a blank page because the HTML file, the index.html file is empty, and also all the JavaScript files are empty. By the way, in this part, the first part, we're not gonna do any JavaScript at all. We're just gonna do some CSS and HTML. So the JavaScript is for the next part, the second part. Now the assets, the audio, we're gonna need an MP3, which is 20 minutes length, and some videos, one for each season, and then some images that we're gonna need for our app. So let's go now to our HTML, to our index.html, and start building our app. Alright, now let's go and type in some basic HTML code. Okay, I'm gonna set the title to meditation app. I'm gonna refresh to see that. And then I'm gonna link my style sheet because I always forget doing that. So my style.css. And the first thing we're going to do is add in our background, which is a video. So I'm gonna go for class name video, and then it's going to be the HTML5 video tag, and here we have a source to give the source of the video. It's going to be and the assets, then video, then summer, then the type is going to be video, and it's an MP4. Alright, now if I hit save, you can see our video there, but the video is not playing, so I'm going to go and use autoplay because we don't need the user to click on any button to play our video. Alright, now you can see that the video stops after it finishes, so we need to play our video in a loop. So I'm gonna add loop, and it's gonna be playing in a loop infinitely. So that's good. Now let's go and style our video. So like we see here, we have some margins here, we need to get rid of that. So I'm going to style.css, and then I'm going to select some general CSS code. So for all elements, I'm going to set the margin to 0. Now you can see we have no margins anymore. Also, I'm going to set the padding to 0, right? And I'm going to set the box size into border box. Great. And now let's go and style our video. So here I'm gonna go for the dev with the class name video, and I'm gonna set its width to 100 of the viewport width. So also the height is gonna be 100 of the viewport height. So this means that our video will cover the whole screen and we won't have any scrolling. And then I'm gonna set the position to like fixed, and then I want to make sure that the top and left are both set to 0. Alright, and now I'm gonna go and style the actual video. Alright, for now I'm just gonna set the width to 50% just for you to see some things I want you to see, and then I'm gonna position this absolute, so it's going to be now positioned relative to the video, to the parent, to the dev with the class name video, and I'm gonna set the top to 50%. Alright, and then also the left to 50%. So what I want to do here is like center my video. It looks like it's not centered, but it actually is. So the top left corner of my video is well centered. So what I want to do here is I'm gonna move the X position of my video to the left and its X position to the top. So to do that, I'm gonna go and use transform and then translate. So translate is like move. So I'm gonna move the X position and the Y position of the video. So X position, if I say minus 50%, and let's set this to 0 for now. If I hit save, now you can see that my video is centered horizontally. So if I also move my video by minus 50% to the top, it's now going to be centered vertically. So after I have centered my video, I'm going to get rid of the width now. And you can see that my video is centered. But we have a problem here. Let's say we are in a big screen. So I'm just going to like zoom out. So you can see that the video is not like covering the whole screen. So what I'm going to do here to fix the issue is I'm going to set the minimum width to 100% and also the minimum height to 100%. So now if I go and like check for those big screens, so I'm gonna use the inspector here. So if I go for like a full HD screen, it looks like my video covers the whole screen. And if I go like for a 4K screen, you can see that my video still covers the whole screen, which is what I want. Alright, now on those small screens, we still have a problem. It's not a big deal, but I don't like it. So if I go for a Galaxy S5 or S9, so like the video, I want its height to be exactly the height of the screen. So I'm gonna use here a media query for small screens. So I'm gonna add a media query, so for screen, and the max width is like 600 pixels. So for our video, it's gonna be the video, then the video. So the height, it's gonna be exactly 100%. Now I can see it looks great. So if I go for bigger screens, this is what I get. So we are done with our video. Let's move on to other things. And now it's time to create some layout. So I'm gonna first go and create some elements in HTML. So I'm gonna need a div with the class name app, and then another one with the class name audio, and then here another one with the class name durations for the durations, and then the last one for the seasons. So the class name is going to be called seasons. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go back to start.css. I'm going to exit from this, and then I'm going to add a comment to say that this is some styling for my app, for the div with the class name app. So to create a layout in this tutorial, I'm going to be using Grid, the CSS Grid. So Grid is used to create two-dimensional layouts. So I'm going to use here Grid template areas, and then I'm going to create the areas. So it's going to be like for the rows, the number of the rows is going to be like 4 rows, right? So 4 rows, and for the column is going to be like 6 columns. So I have here 5, now it's 6. So I'm gonna have 4 or 6 columns and then 4 rows. All right, so I'm gonna hit save. All right, I'm gonna add the background to this one here, the background color, and we can see it. So I'm gonna set like the width of it to 100 viewport width. All right, and then I'm gonna set the height to 100 okay, viewport height, and we can still see it. So because my app here, it's covering by the video, so I'm gonna go here and set the z index of this one to -1. And I'm gonna hit save, and you can see now my app. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my page here and then open the inspector, and I'm gonna go to my app and then click on this. So you see here displays grid. I'm gonna click on this icon here, grid, and you can see the grid there. So you can't see it very well, so I'm just gonna go back and set the background color to white, I guess. So I'm gonna go back here, and then I'm gonna click again on this icon. So you can see now that I have here like 6 columns and then 4 rows, right? Now this whole space here, I want it to be taken by the audio, and this whole space here want it to be taken by the durations, and this whole area here is going to be taken by the seasons. Now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, So it's going to be audio, 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 and then the second row also. Here it's going to be this whole area here is going to be for seasons. So it's going to be seasons. I'm going to use just as, and then as, sorry, another as, another as. All right. Now, so this place here is taken by the audio. Now this whole area here is going to be taken by the duration. So I'm going to type in a D. So D, then a D, etc. So I'm going to hit save now. And now for this to take effect, I'm going to go and add a class, some styling for our audio dev. So I'm going to say audio, and then I'm going to give it a grid area. So I'm going to give it its own area here. Oh, sorry. So area, it's going to be A, right? So its area is going to be A. Okay, you can't see it, so I'm just going to use a background color, and I'm going to use just this color here. You can see now that my audio is taking this whole area. So I'm going to just copy this whole thing here. I'm going to paste it in twice. So this one's going to be for durations, and this one's going to be for the seasons. So here the area for, okay, just need to like say durations here, and then seasons. I'm gonna go and say like red for this color here, and then I'm gonna set this to D, and you can see that this area now is for my durations. And if I say here S, and then I'm gonna use here like blue, and this is taken by the seasons now. Great. Now I'm just gonna add some opacity here just for you to see what's going on in the background. So 0.5. all right, you can't see that. Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of this. All right, so this is for my audio, the durations, and then for the seasons. Now let's go and create some content for the audio. So let's go to our index.html file. Under audio, I'm going to add the audio itself. And then for the source, it's going to be source, it's going to be assets, then audio, then mp3. For the type, it's going to be audio, mpg. If I hit save, you can't see nothing. If I go and say controls, sorry, like controls, you can see the audio and I can play it. So I can control my audio using this default controls, but I won't use them because I'm gonna use my own controls. So I'm gonna add like a pause button. So it's going to be here just an image. It's going to be under assets, and then image, then pause button. And it's going to be here pause for alternative. All right, so this is the one we're going to use to pause the audio. I'm going to copy this whole thing, and then I'm going to change pause to play. Let's save. Now this button is going to be used to play the audio. Now in the middle, it's going to be our progress bar. So here it's going to be like an SVG, so a square outline, so a rect that's not filled with no color, so it's transparent, but we have its stroke, so it's like a square outline. So I'm going to paste in that, and I'm going to paste another one on top of the first one. So if I hit save, you can see both of them. Now this one's going to be red, and the top one's going to be like white. Yeah, it's going to be a white color. So, and then here it's gonna be like the audio remaining time. I'm gonna say 0, 0. It's there. So now let's go and style this in our style.css. First thing is gonna get rid of this background and opacity. And let's go now and set this display to flex. And then I'm gonna go and change these images width. So I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller, so to 50 pixels. Alright, and then I'm gonna set the cursor to pointer. Okay, that's great. Now I'm gonna go for my audio, then progress, and I'm gonna set its width to 20 pixels and the height also to 20 pixels. Alright, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here for audio. I'm gonna say align items center and then justify content center. That's good. Now I'm gonna go here and set the position to relative, and then for the SVGs I'm gonna go and say progress, then my SVGs I'm gonna set the position to absolute. Okay, now one is on top of the other. That's great. Now the same width and height is gonna be the width and height of my SVGs. Alright, now we can see the rectangle. And now I'm gonna go and simply like rotate my rectangles. So I'm gonna say rotate by 45 degrees. That's good. Now you can see that we have here like a collision here. So to get rid of that, I'm just gonna use some margin for my progress depth. So 0 for top and bottom and 40 pixels for right and left. And that's good. Now I'm just gonna go and like style this. So we need to put this in the center. So I'm gonna go and say audio, then progress, then audio remaining time. So to center it, I'm just gonna say position absolute, and then I'm gonna use top 50% and then left to 50%. Good, but it's not centered well, so I'm gonna use transform, then translate, minus 50% for X and minus 50% for Y. Now it's well centered. I'm gonna go and change the color to white. Now you can see it there, and then I'm gonna change the font family, and then I'm gonna change the font size to 2 rems. That's great, and then I'm gonna say font weight to bold, and we're good. So this is how we want it to look like. Now if I go to my inspector and choose a mobile phone like an iPhone 5, you can see we need to scroll horizontally to see the whole buttons. So we need to fix that. So I'm gonna go and copy these. So I want to like target these. This is the one I want to target on small screens. I'm gonna go for the media query for a small screen. I'm gonna say here audio, and then I'm gonna paste in this. So position relative is gonna be the same, but the width and height is gonna be changed. Here also, this one is gonna be the same, so we don't need to change them. This whole thing is gonna be the same. I'm just gonna change the font size. So if I had save now and then change these to 175 pixels, that's good, I guess. I'm just gonna try here to say like 10 pixels. That's good. Now for here it's gonna like 1.75. That's good. Now it's time to actually target our rectangles. So we have a rect1. So this is the class name. So we have here the class. I call this rect1, and I'm just gonna copy this and paste it in here. And this is gonna be rect1. This one I'm gonna be rect. So this is our first rectangle, which is going to be a red rectangle, and this one's going to be like white rectangle. So here I'm going to go, just going to go back and then say rect. This is a class name. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just play with the width and the height. So I'm going to say 2. And then 125, and if I hit save, you can see now that my rectangles are inside or are between the buttons, and we don't have to scroll horizontally anymore. So that's great. So now we're done with the audio. Now it's time to go and add the buttons for our durations. Well, let's go and create those buttons here. So I'm going to go to my index.html. Alright, now under durations, I'm going to add a div with the class name duration. And then inside it's going to be an image. This is going to be assets, then image, then 2 minutes. And for all, it's going to be also 2 minutes. And then I'm going to add a p tag here and says 2 minutes. Alright, now I'm going to go and duplicate this like 4 times. So this one's going to be like 5 minutes. Then it's going to be here 10 minutes. Then 20 minutes. So let's go and start this. So I'm going to go back to the top, then the durations. I'm gonna set this display to flex, and then I'm gonna go here and style my images. So duration, then my images, and I'm gonna set the width to 75 pixels, and we're good. And then I'm gonna set the cursor to a pointer, right? And here I'm gonna go back to the top and then justify content center and then align items center. Good. And then I'm gonna actually justify content. I'm gonna use space around. Okay, then here I'm gonna add some padding of 0, then 25%. Okay. Right, now let's go back to my durations, and I'm gonna get rid of this background and opacity. Cool. Now let's go and say durations, then that duration, then the p tag. So I'm gonna set the font family to this one, the one I used before, and then I'm gonna go and set the font size to 1.1 rems, and then the font weight to bold again, and then the color to a white color. Now we can see that they're not centered vertically, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for durations, then that duration, and I'm gonna go and display this as a flex, but I'm gonna change the flex direction to column, and then I'm gonna go and align items, then center. Alright, now I'm just gonna add some margin top of like 5 pixels, I guess. Alright, and now I'm done actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add like a shadow for my text here, text shadow. So 0 pixels for X, 0 pixels for right, then some blur, and the color is going to be this color here. I'm going to do the same thing for the image, but for the images it's going to be like different. I'm going to use filter and then drop shadow, and then I'm going to paste in the same code. Alright, so that's it. Now let's go and check this on a mobile screen. So an iPhone 5 again. This is the smallest screen here. So I'm going to need to change the images width, I guess. So I'm going to go and say durations. So I'm going to say durations, then duration, then our images. The width is going to be like 60 pixels, I guess. Alright, then, and now I'm going to go for the durations, and instead of padding 0.25%, I'm gonna go just with 10%, and you can see them there. That's looking great. Now for the p tag, I'm just gonna change the font size to 1 rem, and it's looking great, I guess. I can also change the width of these images. They still look like a little bit bigger. So here I'm gonna go for audio, then play images, and then also pause images. And I'm gonna set the width here to, I guess, 50 pixels. It's already 50 pixels, 40 pixels, and that's good. So alright, now it's time to go and add in the content to the seasons and style them. Okay, now let's go and create the buttons for the seasons here. So I'm gonna go to the index.html file, and then under the seasons I'm gonna go and add a class name for the dev, which is going to be season, and then an image here. So the source is going to be assets, then image, then it's going to be like winter. For the alternative, it's going to be also winter. So I'm just going to go and duplicate this like 4 times. So here it's going to be spring, and it's going to be like summer, and then here it's gonna be it's gonna be autumn. Right, now you can see our icons here. Also, we need the button to like toggle the menu on mobile screens. So I'm gonna add a dev with the class name toggle menu, and then it's gonna be an image again. So this time it's gonna be under assets, then image, then it's gonna be a right arrow, and then open menu. Okay, now let's go to our style.css file, and then the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go under seasons, then under seasons, and then season, and then our images. And I'm gonna make our images like the width of the image is gonna be like 75 pixels. And okay, I'm just like get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this icon here, the arrow icon. We need this just on the mobiles, on small screens. So I'm gonna say like toggle menu, and I need you to like target our dev, and then I'm going to set the display to none. Alright, now let's go back here. I'm gonna go and display this as a flex, and then I'm gonna change the direction to column, and then I'm gonna align items center, and then justify content like space around. And then I'm gonna add some padding for top and bottom, which is 40%, and then 0 for right and left. That's great. Now I'm gonna get rid of this background color. Now I'm just gonna go here and copy this filter and add it to our image. And also I'm gonna add a cursor pointer. That's great. Now I actually am done with the desktop version. Now I'm just gonna go for like the mobile version. Okay, so here I will go in my media query, and then here I'm gonna add some style for the seasons. So my seasons here position is gonna be set to absolute, so I can play with it as I like. Then I'm gonna reset the padding back to 0 because we added that 40% padding, so I'm gonna set it back to 0 pixels. And then I'm gonna set top to 20 pixels. Okay, to 20 pixels, and then left, let's say 0 pixels for now. Alright, now this is the seasons here is like flex, so we need to change the flex direction to row, not column, so row. Alright, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go and change the size of the images because they look a lot bigger. So I'm gonna say like the width is gonna be like 50 pixels, I guess. Right, so 50 pixels. I also want to get rid of that shadow, so I'm gonna set the filter to none. Alright, now I'm gonna go back here and use a background color, which is gonna be white. Right, now for the padding I'm gonna use 5 pixels. That's good. Then for the seasons I want to add some space there, so I'm going to use margin left actually, or right, left or right, it's the same thing, so just left. It's going to be 10 pixels. That's great. Now we're good, I guess. Now let's go for our toggle menu button. So dot toggle menu. So I'm gonna display this as a flex. You can see it there. Now let's change the size of our image. So the width is gonna be like 20 pixels. Right, let's go here and add the background color like red, just red for now. So I'm gonna add some padding here, like of 5 pixels, and then a margin left, actually left, just like before, left. So it's gonna be like 10 pixels, and then I'm gonna set the border radius of this to 50%. So I'm gonna make it like a circle. And then I'm gonna go, because I use display flex here, I used it just to like center my arrow inside of here. So I'm just gonna go and say align items center, and then justify content, and also it's gonna be center. So now my arrow is well centered inside. So I'm gonna go and get rid of the background color here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say on toggle menu hover, I want to change the background color to an RGBA, so it's gonna be a black color with a 0.2 for the opacity. So now if I hover over it, but I don't want it to pop up like this, so I'm just gonna use some transitions. So we transition here. I'm just gonna transition the background here, color, and I'm gonna go and use 500 milliseconds for the time, and then for the timing function it's gonna be ease and out. So now if I hover over it, Alright, now we still need to like add the cursor boundary here. Great. I don't like this edges here, so I'm just gonna use some border radius there. So 0, 5 pixels, 5 pixels, then 0. Alright, so this is gonna be 0, 0. I don't have to add it here, sorry. So it's actually gonna be applied to my seasons here, dev. Right, now you can see we don't have any borders here, but we have them here and here. Alright, now this must be shown by default. We must hide this menu here until the user clicks on this arrow. So I'm just gonna play with the left property here. So I'm gonna set it to -250 pixels, and that's great. So now when I click on this, I'm gonna sit back using JavaScript the left here property to 0 pixels, and this will open my menu. So we didn't finish yet, because you can still see that these here, that the audio here and the buttons are not well centered, and that's because if I open my inspector, if I go to the app, you can still see that the audio is not taking the whole space here, the whole column. And because of the grid template areas we created before, so we need to change that. Now the season is not there, yeah, okay, we used the position absolute, but the area is still there, right? So we need to get rid of that. So I'm gonna go here at the top. So I'm gonna go for and select my app, and then I'm gonna just change the grid template areas. So this time it's just 1 column and 4 rows. The first row is gonna be taken by the audio, the second row also, the third row also, and then the fourth one and the last one is gonna be taken by the duration. So now if I hit save, you can see that my audio is taking these 3 rows, and this one is taking just 1 row. So now I think we are done with designing our app. So now it's gonna work on any screen out there. I hope so. Now it's time like to make our menu open and close. We can make like everything works, and that's going to be done using JavaScript. I'm going to do that in the next part. So take care. I hope you learned something new today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and see you in the next part.